ਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਜੋੜਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਾਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਗੈਸ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ। The air or the gas moves in the body, apparently, according to the Punjabi folklore culture. If it is in the stomach, it can create gas or upset stomach. If it is in the lower abdomen, then it can have gas going downward versus upward. And if it moves into various parts of the body, and you could say, well, how could air move inside the body? And apparently it's not just the wind. Air here is energy. It is that air energy. Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Air, fire, and water. These are the three energies within our bodies. When a certain imbalance takes place, it leads to certain ailments and aches and pains and so forth. In certain parts of Asia, and for example in Malaysia, or Malays will call it angin. Angin means air. It's like, or air. The air is moving in your body that is causing pain. And then they would massage and they will release the air in various ways. Sometimes through physical burps and farts, but other ways also. Have you ever seen clouds making certain shapes and forms? It appears sometimes in some sort of a face or an animal or an object. And then as the air moves, the wind changes the structure of the clouds, and then that disappears. And some other pattern is formed. When people are upset, whether it is visibly upset or upset inside, I'm using the word upset in a very general way, it can result in anger or frustration or sadness or fear or any type of response, whether it is internal or external. And that could be because someone looked at you a certain way or said something a certain way or didn't do something. It could be an omission. Oh, you didn't call me. Oh, how come you didn't pick up my phone? And the other person may not have anything specific going on. I'm like, well, nothing really happened. Why are you upset over nothing? But the other person feels upset for real. And these kind of things happen in family and loved relationships or close friendships. And it can result in arguments and unnecessary tension, to say the least. And you can try to resolve that with logic. The person can say, yes, you did it. The other person can say, no, I didn't. As day or night. Or, yes, I did it, but it didn't mean anything malicious. Through self-awareness and sadhana and sitting with oneself, one can look into various traumas in life and see if there is a specific pattern going on, and then resolve the pattern. For us, it is a Phyllis Crystal method, IOLE, meditations of various sort, including tree meditation, being myself meditation, and light meditation, and so forth. Through the incoming breath, you can breathe in what you want, and through the outgoing breath, you can get rid of those patterns a little bit at a time. Or just sitting with it, sitting with the uncomfort, the discomfort, and surrendering it. Awareness is the key. Half the job is done. But sometimes those patterns repeat over and over and over again. Year after year after year, no matter how hard you try, how much work you do, somehow those patterns, they don't go away, they're stubborn. So when that happens, usually it means that there is something even behind those patterns. Just like those imaginary faces in the sky made up of cloud. Things appear real to people, but there could be some past traumas which may not be directly related in any shape or form. So pattern recognition becomes extremely hard, if not impossible. And if somebody tries to point it out and they feel so unrelated that you may feel judged. But how could this be even possible? And if you try to even make that correlation, the other person may say, well, are you out of your mind? What does this has to do with the other? So it might be right in front of your face, but you can just not put the two together. And in some cases, you hear something and then you add the pattern matching on top of it, and you put the wrong two and two together. Interpolation, extrapolation, and create all kinds of new confusions, imaginary, and cause more pain and suffering for you and for your loved ones. As imaginary as those situations may be, the pain and suffering is for real. So it is the energy trapped in the past traumas and the traumas which are unresolved, that energy can take new shape or form. So consider this energy as air. Just the way this air moves into our body, and in whichever part of the body it moves, it can cause some pain or distress. The same way, when that energy moves through our life, invited by various triggers, those energy get empowered and they take different shapes and forms. We have seen in fairs and in various children's parties, some clown will come and blow some balloons of different shapes made up of poodle, or the balloons, the shapes and the forms is what really happens with people. That is what you see. What you see is the balloon. And whether that balloon is real or imaginary doesn't matter. What we're talking about is the air inside that balloon. It is the energy from the pattern that, when given a shape or a form by a triggered, can reignite itself. And you may feel what you felt during those traumas, even whether they were childhood traumas or middle age or married life or afterwards. Doesn't matter whether the traumas were through one of your family members or in-laws or spouse or friends and workplace. One may say one has nothing to do with the other. Yes, they are all balloons. They are all different shapes, but the energy inside of them, which you cannot see. You cannot see air. You can have that experience either when it blows on your face or takes a certain shape or form. So what are we saying here? When triggered, the person can talk all kinds of nonsensical things, unrelated to the current matter, and the current matter itself may be very imaginary to the other person. Like, well, it doesn't exist. That's not so. But it appears as real for that person who is experiencing that trauma right now, triggered by the present situation. And the person has no way of knowing whether the feeling that person is getting is because of the current trigger or from the past trauma. The current trigger has only given shape to the old traumatic energy, which was looking for a vehicle to ride on for you to re-experience it. So when you are getting some feedback that, why are you talking nonsense? Or when someone is talking nonsense or out of proportion, perhaps one may look into, okay, what is behind this? And that is where the trigger and trauma work is involved. But what we're talking about is that there could be something even behind it, which is subtler. And that is the energy that moves. And you can experience it just the way when the wind rolls over our face, we can feel that wind or air. Likewise, it is the feeling. That energy can be felt. And we have a memory, which is not mental. It is very physical and emotional in place. A trauma that may have happened 10, 20, 30, 40 or more years ago, when reignited, if you're able to connect the dots with the old trauma, you can say, well, that's how I felt. And one can look for some keywords. Sometimes the new trauma, there are some keywords. Bullying is a common example. When one is bullied, one may overreact because there was some unresolved bullying happening from the childhood or marriage or other situations. And then you can become oversensitive and you can overreact to a potential bullying situation or to when you see a bully, whether the bully has done bullying to you at this moment or not, but you feel bullied and you put your guards down or guards up and try to protect yourself or your loved ones. And only you can tap into that. A friend can help, a loved one can help, but you have to take ownership. That's very important. And not get too involved in who is right and who is wrong. And if we can put that blame aside, who caused the problem? Who threw the first stone? Where did it all start from? If we can sort of put that aside and go a layer deeper and a layer deeper and a layer deeper. And it's not something one can expect to take place in one sitting. It can take many, many triggers, many, many years, many, many decades. And dare I say, it may take many, many lifetimes. But I think this is the secret. The secret is look for the feeling, the energy. It's an energy. And it moves almost like air. You cannot see it, but when it takes form, then it is the same air or the energy. You can do pattern matching at that time, or you can do matching of the feeling or the keywords or the triggers or the unresolved traumas. You can look at, well, what are my unresolved traumas? What are the traumas that I still remember? And the idea is not to start blaming those people in the traumas and relive the traumas so we can criticize those people that they're bad people. We don't have to blame anybody here. But it is really for me to untangle, resolve down to the core. And the core is energy. It's not matter. It's not a story. Just the way the sun is all energy. It's not mass. It's all energy. Just remember, when you get to that point, it is super dark. It is super lonely. And remember, that place, when you're getting to that energy level, you're right next to God. It's right there. The realization that only God is my truly mine. And without God, there is nobody. And words are just words. They don't match the energy. They don't match the feeling. That's the best or the worst part. It's all gibberish at that level. No, doesn't matter what the person is saying. There is no logic. Because when the other person is insisting that no, this is not, or this is not so, it doesn't matter because there's something else behind. And it seems like, won't it be true that all of us, in some shape or form, are dealing with some trauma or the other when we are triggered? And that when that happens, may we have the wisdom and strength to be compassionate and to do what is right? That is when our values and priorities are challenged, and you stick to your values and priorities, because that is your true north. That is your guide. Samasta Lokha Sukhino Bhavantu. May all the beings and all the worlds be happy. Thank you, Baba.